Hello, everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night, good whatever time of the day you're listening to this, and welcome to another episode of the Volatile Times with Daniel podcast. And before I started recording this podcast, or as I was preparing to record this podcast, this particular episode, I realized, oh my God, this is the penultimate episode for season 1 of the podcast. I mean, guys, season 1 is ending next week. Like, what? Oh my God. And I have to tell you one thing. I have to tell you the truth. I cannot wait for season 1 to end. Like, not because I am tired of recording. Actually, I'm still going to be recording. I'm going to be doing batch recordings, you understand, so that I'll just edit over time. And when it's time for season 2, which I don't know how long I'll be gone for, probably a month, I'll just be uploading. But guys, 23 episodes. Okay, this is going to be the 22nd episode, yeah? But by next week, it's going to be 23 episodes, which will mark the end of season 1. And wow, what a journey it's been. Like, oh my God, I've been stressed, I've been excited, I've been elevated, then I've been meh. But then, oh my God, things have changed. I've changed styles, met people and everything, but that is not what today's episode is all about. But I want to say thank you to every single listener out there. Thank you to those of you who are new and are just listening to the podcast for the first time. Thank you for those who keep sharing the link to the podcast and who keep referring others to this podcast. Thank you so very much. You guys don't know how much that means to me. And the feedback, you understand. For the last episode where I talked about addicted to stress, somebody said she listened to it with notebook because there was so much wisdom in it. And I was like, oh my God, what? Like, no, nah, fam. Like, don't do this to me, fam. Don't whine me, fam. But like, it's so awesome. So for today's episode, it's going to be another great hit. It's going to be something. Today's episode is going to be something a little bit close to heart for me. So, just stay back. Get your popcorn. It's not going to be a long episode, but you want to get your popcorn. You want to get maybe a little bit of wipes because some of you might get into a teary phase. Yeah, I'm just kidding. But don't go anywhere because you know what? You are in for a treat. Okay, so today's episode, and first of a disclaimer, in case you hear a little bit of a clicking sound, that will be my mouse because I'm actually recording this while I'm at work, while I'm working, because nowadays I'm always working. Like, this is that week I've been working like almost 24/7. So like anything I'm doing while I am doing work. So please just bear with it, for this one. I mean, this is the 22nd episode. Okay, why am I excited? I wasn't so excited. Okay. Let me just move on to today's episode. Today's episode, I'm going to be talking about friendship. And it's something I wanted to talk about for a long time, but it kept being pushed back because, I had other things in mind I wanted to talk about too. Also, I didn't really know where to start with, start addressing friendship, because friendship isn't something a lot of people address in depth. When we talk about relationships, we only usually talk about romantic relationships. We barely talk about friendships. And even when we talk about friendships, it isn't in a really in-depth way. We don't really look at the dynamics to most friendships. We just usually talk about if this friend is not supporting you, this toxic. If this friend is supporting you, this bae kind of friend, that kind of thing, or the whole even when people talk about best friends nowadays, it's always, can you date somebody who has an opposite sex for as a best friend? Which half of the time when I listen to people talk about that, I just hear insecurities all over. There's only be like 3 to 4 people that I heard that their points actually, made total sex and were secure in and of themselves. But I'm not trying to bash anybody. Don't think about it. I'm not trying to bash anybody. I'm just saying I'll be talking about that in season 2. But for today, I wanted to talk about a particular thing that most of us or some of us in life have gone through, and that is losing friendships. There are times where we just realize that there's a disconnection between we and a particular friend. This friend, we used to flow all the time. We used to be there for each other all the time. We used to gist all the time. We're always up in each other's business, you understand, because we cared about each other and different things like that. But then little by little, there's one particular thing or a couple of things. Maybe it's distance, maybe it's getting busier, maybe it's moving into different phases in life, we tend to start losing a little bit of that connection, that connection that we had before. And then we start to see a lot of differences between the both of us. And then from there, we start drifting apart. And it's not really done intentionally, I would say. At least most of the time, we don't know we are doing it. Or even when we are doing it, we don't know that's exactly what we are doing. I guess I'm saying the exact same thing. But like, it's something that has happened to me over time, a couple of times actually. And I currently see it happening again with I and a particular friend of mine. But the difference this time is that I noticed it. And I'm like, nah, fam, I'm going to fight to keep this particular friendship, because this is somebody that is really dear to me, somebody that has been there for me, in a lot of ways, and I've been there for him also in a lot of ways, And it just got me thinking that what exactly could be causing this, and how, if you've ever been through this and you got to reconcile with that friend, you got to respark that friendship. Can you please share, comment down below in whatever platform, whether you're using Breaker, AudioMac, Podchaser, or whether you're using Anchor. You can send a voice message if you're using Anchor. Tell me how you solved that particular problem, because it's something I'm going through and I'm not really sure how to address it. But one thing I have come to realize is most of the time it comes as a couple of things. It's due to a couple of things. First off, everybody grows, right? And this is a very, very important thing. Everybody grows, no matter how minute that growth is. Everybody grows, right? So we tend to end up seeing the differences in our growth. We tend to end up seeing how much our growth doesn't look like the other's growth. You understand? We tend to, okay, let's say this one is going after education, that one is doing business. You understand? So both people are busy, both people are doing quite important things, but not the same important things. You understand? And then we start to see that as a difference, and we allow that difference to magnify itself over the strength and bond of the friendship. And you might argue that if the friendship was that strong in the first place, nothing will break it apart. Actually, no, it's not necessarily a break apart, like, a fight and everything. It's just, people like to say this thing. I used to hear this thing a lot, that absence makes the heart grow fonder. I've never experienced that. Actually, what I've seen mostly, not even from personal experience now, what I've seen mostly with other people, absence actually makes the heart grow fainter, because you tend to feel less for a person over time, the less you are in communication and communion with them. So I did something for this particular situation. I usually write a lot of letters, not that I necessarily send them out. I've written a couple of letters I've actually sent to people before, but this particular letter is a letter I wrote. I wrote it like a month ago when I was at the height of my what we'll call a relationship anxiety with this particular friend, because I was worrying and I found it difficult to talk about it, to even bring it up with him, and which is something that normally we don't experience, you understand? When we got to a certain level, we agreed that okay, we'll be communicating with each other. If you're down, you communicate with me and different things like that. And we weren't afraid to approach difficult situations. We weren't afraid to fight. We weren't afraid to be mean to each other and be blunt to each other if it was needed. But now it's almost like as if we're dancing around eggshells, and I've been wondering exactly what's happened. So I wrote a letter, which I'm not particularly going to be sending to him, or at least I wasn't planning on sending it to him. Now I'm not really sure. But then I was like, when I finished with the letter, writing it, and I read it about 3 times to myself, I realized, I was like, okay, this might be something a lot of people might want to hear or might want to say to somebody who they are in this situation with. So I decided, you know what, I'm going to read it out to you guys. So in about a couple of seconds, you guys are going to be hearing me read a particular letter, and I titled this letter, Dear Friend, Don't Grow Away From Me. And now the letter. Dear friend, hello. That seems like a proper way to start this letter. In truth, I'm not sure, because I'm not even sure I'll send it. But I'll write it like you're reading it already. I would like to ask, what happened to us? I would like to ask, why are we like this now? Barely able to talk to each other without knowing if we'll offend the other. Unable to even judge if we still have a connection. I'd truly like to ask, but I doubt either of us will have the answer to them or would like to hear them, to be honest. It's just been quite lonely here lately without knowing where I stand with you, knowing where we stand. Remember any good memories of us? I do. But when I remember them, I notice that first, the excitement of those memories are dampened. The joy they give reduced. I also notice that I desire we go back to such simple times, to such sure times, even though it seems like a desire for past glories. Did our growth cause this sense of ending? This lurking of doom I feel concerning our friendship? Is us growing older? Is us growing better? Causing us such discomfort that we distance ourselves from each other? I'll always have your back. Those were words we said to each other. When? I can't remember. But it wasn't a promise at the time. It was a fact. Do facts change? Even if they do, does this one have to change? Make no mistake, the last thing I want is to limit you. But my dreaded nightmare is when I think, have I become baggage? Something hindering you from the greatness you seek to achieve, and I desire you do. Have I become the yoke that bears you down with so much weight? I'm not sure what the answers to these questions are, but I surely don't want them to be yes. Even a maybe will slice my heart in two. Just thinking of it makes me cry. But regardless of my feelings, I'd want you to be honest. Brutally if needed. Remember those times of uncertainty about the future, about life, about ourselves, about God, about everything. Remember those times we told ourselves things we couldn't tell anyone else. Those times we've had such awkward conversations, shared our deepest fears, our depression, and looked to each other for strength. I read somewhere people who've bared their hearts out in the most vulnerable manner tend to distance themselves from those who've witnessed it. Is that what's happening here? I hope to God it's not. I would admit, I've been too much sometimes. In what ways I can't begin to write about, but you've borne them all, seen me at my worst, my best, and my weirdest. I appreciate you for that. Yet I can't seem to resolve this feeling that our friendship is coming to an end. Like you are growing and it's leading you away from me. I might be tripping, getting all up in my feels, and just letting my emotions ride me like a pony on Third Milan Bridge. These past few weeks, months even, have been trying times for me, for us all. But I've been unable to talk to you about it because I'm not even sure if I'm allowed to anymore. I will also admit I have flaws. I might come off as proud, and I too know most times, ever lecturing, or even phrase myself to be a standard beyond measure. But trust me, none of it is intended or true. You know of my insecurities. You've witnessed them too. We've both been in a growth period sincerely, which is something of joy for me. But we might have deceived ourselves that since our growth don't look the same, we aren't compatible anymore. I think that's a lie from the pit of Satan's ass creek. So here's a compromise. Let's talk. Not full-on expository, but let's start having conversations again. 5 minutes here, 10 minutes there, a chat here, a chat there. Nothing too big. God still loves us, so I believe we can always love ourselves, despite differences. People don't grow past friendships, I've come to learn. They abandon them due to reasons. I've had enough of that. I've grown past this friend mindset. Haven't you? So here's my final sales pitch. Why don't we just grow as we go? I remain truly yours, in a very, very weird way. I don't know who we'll become. I can promise it's not written in the stars. But I believe that when it's done, we're gonna see that it was better that we grew up together. So tell me you don't wanna leave, 'Cause if change is what you need, you can change right next to me. When you're high, I will take the lows. You can dab and I can flow, and we'll take it slow and grow as we go. Grow as we go. Oh, grow as we go. Grow as we go. Okay, so thems then letters. I hope you guys liked it. I hope you guys enjoyed that. Let me know what you think. I think it was a fun letter. I think it was a nice letter, and I think it's communicated well exactly what I wanted to ask in the questions and things that were going through my mind. It was going to be longer than that, but I was like, nah, if I was actually going to be sending this to somebody, I don't think it's going to be something I want them to get tired of reading. So if you want me to send the audio of me reading out that letter to you, maybe you would like to send it to somebody, or you just like to listen it over and over again by yourself, let me know. You can always email me or just put it in the comments down below. Just reach out to me on my socials. On Instagram, I am at Volatile with Daniel, and on Twitter, I am at Daniel Briggs. Yeah. Also, if you want the letter itself, maybe you like to send it to somebody, but you like to make a couple of changes, let me know also. I'll send you the editable draft of the letter so that you can do just that. But regardless, let me know what you think, you understand? And I know, losing friendships can be hard, especially when you don't know why exactly, you guys are growing farther away from each other, or when you feel powerless. Sometimes, you sense the divide, you sense the distance growing, and then you just aren't unable to do something about it. You understand? Like you feel powerless, you don't know how to attend to it, you don't know how to talk about it, and it can be a very, very shitty situation. And it happened to me 2 years ago. Was it 2 years ago? Basically almost 2 years ago. And sometimes I still see the person's contact and I'm afraid to just jump into their DM and be like, okay, let me do this, because it's stressful. It's a struggle, right? It's a struggle that we don't really address, and I think it's something that society has even normalized by telling us, sometimes you grow past some people, you understand? Sometimes you grow past some people, and when people are not on your level, you guys just can't relate together. And I think all of that is bullshit, because we relate with people on so many levels, and many of them are not on the same level as we are. Maybe we have a couple of similarities, but deep down to the essence and core of our being, we are very, very different. We are individuals, and most of us are very, very different. So it's a narrative that we've kind of normalized in society, and it's a narrative that hurts us because we tend to not have stable friends, you understand? And then we see people who had friends that they've been going 5 years, 10 years, and you're like, you are lucky. But the thing is, we don't recognize how much hard work that is, and how much they've suffered through, and how much they had to work through the differences, the fights, and everything. So it's just something I wanted to address. And I know I didn't really talk about it long, but just something I wanted to address. I wanted to bring it to the forefront, and just put in our minds there that sometimes losing a friend isn't because we have grown past them. Technically, I don't think you can grow past people. It's a different matter if, let's say, you're progressing and this particular friend is trying to bring you down, trying to hold you down, trying to be baggage, you understand, justifiably. If that is the reason why, then a divide might be necessary because that relationship is going toxic. But if due to the fact that, you guys are busy, so, you're about to message the person on WhatsApp, but then you're like, he might be busy. You're about to send a text, and then you're like, he might be busy, you understand? You're about to, just reach out, and then you keep saying, he might be busy, you might want to check yourself on that and just send that message anyway. Even if it takes 2 hours for them to reply and they were actually busy at the moment, you reached out. And trust me, for somebody who is really, really busy, I don't get to respond to my messages early enough nowadays. Sometimes it takes a day, an entire day, because when I'm done, I look at my WhatsApp, I see a lot of messages, and I'm like, you know what? I'm not doing this, fam. I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna go sleep. Yeah. But then, just seeing that people reach out, it's like awesome, you understand? And I also send messages to people. Don't just call it people out of the blue anyway. I'm just telling you people that shit is annoying. But I send messages to people and I say that they don't reply immediately, but when they do reply, you understand, they're like, oh my god, thank you for reaching out. And it's just that little step, that little extra thing is alright, is okay, and it's something we need to normalize doing. So I just want to talk about that. Again, remember to follow on our socials at Volatile with Daniel on Instagram and at Daniel Briggs on Twitter. Also, you can support the podcast financially by tipping us on Shukran. Shukran is a platform for you to support your creators, your favorite creators, financially. So the link will be linked down below in the show description. Also, please recommend the podcast to people. Share this message with your friends. And remember, if you want the audio of me reading out the letter, or if you want the draft of the letter itself, just let me know and I will send it to you for free, no charges at all. Okay, thank you, and I expect your feedbacks. I expect feedbacks. But anyway, let's get excited for next week, because next week is the last episode. See ya guys later, and always stay fluid.